Show goes all the way in the dirt mile.
What is up? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. This is Blinkers Off. What's up, dude? I don't know what I just clicked the first video. I saw Breeders' Cup and I was like, hey, and I hadn't seen that one yet. So
I tell you what, Magic has been busy with the video stuff. He had a new surprise when we played the Dudes Who Bet Sports theme song on Monday. It was new. The video was, and so
I saw that.
He's been very, very busy. As you see, that our graphics department looks like they've been very busy as well. Look at this. This looks very good.
It's almost like we know what we're doing these days. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. Welcome, everybody, to Blinkers Off. Thank you, everybody, tuning in live with us. And, of course, this is the week, kind of like Breeders' Cup Eve, so to speak. This is pre-entries are out. We kind of nothing huge. Major surprising as far as the pre-entries go. We're going to go through those races one by one tonight. But this is like the last, this is it. This is the last kind of before shit is just next week is just, it's already insane for us, but in terms of once we have the draws, of course, final entries go out on Monday, draws later on that day. That's it. We have the week to really study and try to pick up some winners.
This is definitely almost upon us. Finally, I've gotten sick of talking about this after a while. It's like, my God, can we just run these races? Yeah, I thought the pre-entries were. You're right. There're not a lot of surprises here, but it was so nice to finally get the European horses that are coming. That's a big thing when you talk about these turf races. You just never really know until you know who's actually coming over. So now we've got a good feel for it. And I've been diving into this for 2 straight days now. So I feel pretty prepared to talk about it. There's a lot of European runners that look really, really good, in my opinion, that we'll talk about tonight.
Yeah, we had I believe it was a record number of overseas, 56 overseas. And like you mentioned, 26 of those were, Great Britain, of course, Ireland, France, Argentina, Peru, South Africa. There's a couple of those, but obviously Great Britain, the GB that you guys see next to a horse's name, bunch of those coming over here in Ireland, of course, as well. So those are the big ones coming over. And yeah, again, you just don't know, especially like you said, those juvenile turf races, that makes it so hard to figure out. And it kind of threw us off when we were back and forth trying to figure out what the hell the order of the races were. And they have the Juvenile Turf as the last race on Friday. Rather than, of course, what we're used to seeing is, of course, the TVG Juvenile. And yeah, if you see that, that is correct. We've double, triple, quadruple checked. We checked with the Breeders' Cup, and yes, so that's going to be the last race. Kind of interesting. What were your thoughts on why they did that?
Got me. Why don't we run the Classic as the second to last race too? On Saturday. I don't know. You tell me. I thought that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
I kept trying to figure out if it was about betting, wanted to move.
That was my first thought, but there's no difference in betting between what race is 9th and what race is 10th.
No,
it's all the same. I have no earthly idea why they would do that.
Magic came up with some kind of educated guess that maybe they needed this is again total guess, but if there was. Give the turf more time to get ready for the next turf versus having back-to-back turf races like they normally do. Whatever. It doesn't seem like a major deal, but yeah, when we saw it, we thought there's no way that's right. It can't be right. Because historically, your best race is the last race, but not the case. So stay tuned. Whenever you're there, if you're betting. TVG Juvenile runs, don't stop. There's one more race after that. So, no, huge, obviously huge weekend coming up here as we continue to prepare. Next week it hits with the entries. We'll be jumping on a plane. We'll be at Del Mar. Shit's about to get crazy. Of course, if you have not, you've got to go get your hands on the Breeders' Cup wagering guide available for pre-sale. We're still working on that, of course. It's in Halterman's hands right now. It's going to go to Magic's hands, go to my hands. We're all working on this guide together. It'll be I think it's going to be close to 30 pages, so it's going to be insane. You'll get that at racingdudes.com. And the supplemental guide to that, the free guide, 14 trends to the Breeders' Cup, go check that out on the website, racingdudes.com. you'll get your hands on that, just go to the homepage. You can see it right there. 14 trends, 1 trend for every race. It's really good. Article we put out every single year. So 2 things you have to get before you make a single bet at the Breeders' Cup this year. Having said that, I know you're working on it. Did the entries, the pre-entries, is there any post position, anything that can fall, like as far as the way change your thinking in terms of where you're at right now? Like, are you kind of waiting? Like, because to me, I don't really weigh much on the entries for these kind of races. Like as far as post positions, I mean.
The biggest thing for me is what jockeys will be riding, what horses that are coming over from overseas, because that'll really kind of give us a clue on what they think is going on with those horses coming across the pond. That's the big one for me. Yeah, post position. I mean, it's not that big a deal, I don't think. But the jockeys, that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. And of course, right now there's no riders named for any of these, so that'll be the kind of the determining factor maybe on a couple of these that you're close on, or you're trying to kind of, decipher who I'm going to pick here, who I'm going to put second, who I'm going to put third. I think the jockey will make a big difference for those European runners. Yeah, post position, I guess if you're close and on 2 horses and one draws perfect and one doesn't, then it'll make a difference. But it's minute in races like this.
Yeah, it doesn't. Like, again, it might be something that you use like as like a deciding factor, but for me, it's never something that like makes me make that pick or whatever. So
maybe the juvenile races, maybe a little more. So like juvenile turf races, I think will make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, especially some of those, like the classic, you got 10 horses. So
yeah,
I mean, I suppose if a horse doesn't like being on the inside, they draw the 1 or 2, then that might be a bummer. But
yeah.
Otherwise, it doesn't really concern me too much. So, it's huge 2 days of racing. Let's not waste any more time. Today's show, we will dive into the pre-entries for the 2021 Breeders' Cup World Championships at Del Mar next weekend. Let's go! Yep, this is how much of the guide have you got done as far as your first take of it?
I mean, all of it, so to speak, as far as horses I got in, certain spots. I made a all night last night working on it, making a first run through. Took today off, saying let that settle. Gonna come back to it hard Friday, and then take Saturday off from it again, and then come back to it Sunday, where it's completely finished, just waiting on numbers, jockeys, like said, final tweaks on Monday. And, a couple hours after that draw on Monday, should be pretty much, done as far as my part of it.
It's, I think some of the most challenging parts sometimes are not just picking a winner, but especially when we do these top 4s, is trying to figure out who's going to finish, because you got a bunch of these turf races and trying to hit a try here on the guide is almost impossible. I mean, it really is. Like picking a winner it's tough, but it's you can come up with reasonable thoughts, obviously, but to try to go 1, 2, 3 in a race in the Breeders' Cup that's why they pay so much.
Yeah. Well, the last time the Breeders' Cup was at Del Mar, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, we hit a trifecta for what was it, like $1,800?
Yeah.
That was just like, that makes your whole day. So it's hard to hit them, but you hit 1 out of 14 and you've got your money back in tries, and exactas and things like that. So that's the thing. You got to hang in there when you're betting those kind of wagers. And we know that as well. And like we did the guide last year, you got to mix in your wagers. If you're going to bet 14 trifectas, well, at the end of the day, you better hit that one because it's if you don't, you're going to be in some trouble. So you got to mix in good win bets. You got to mix in pick 3s, pick 4s, pick 5s. I wouldn't recommend just, hey, I'm a trifecta player, I'm going to play 14 straight tries at the Breeders' Cup. I don't think that's long-term going to be a successful strategy.
You don't want to do that?
I wouldn't, but that year we hit that try. It was a perfect race, I thought, to play it. He had a lot of contenders. at good odds in that time. That was the race Mendelssohn won at Del Mar, the 2-year-old race.
And the key is that you don't, like you kind of said, but like you don't get discouraged. Say, go into the Breeders' Cup, with a plan. Like that's the biggest thing is to go into the Breeders'. That's why the bankroll is so great. Whether you do well or not, you go into the day knowing exactly how you're going to approach every single race. Whether you go 0 for 5 to start off the day or you go 5 for 5, that 6th bet is still the same bet you were going to make. Yeah. And if you don't have that plan as you go into it, it's very easy to, get on tilt, as they say, and just start throwing extra money at stupid tries, this and that. And that's how you turn a bad day into like a absolutely brutal day. So,
well, that's could have happened to us last year. We had a terrible Friday. And when you have a bad Friday at the Breeders' Cup, that sleep that next night. I mean, listen, if you're a fan and you're just betting and you're not, it's not going to bother you. But when you're us and you have a bad Friday, it's very stressful, at least for me, because I take a lot of pride in what we do here. And I didn't sleep much Friday, but I did wake up and I said, listen, we have a plan. We're going to see it through. And Saturday was great. So we'll see. I mean, it all worked out great last year, but I would love to have a better Friday, certainly this year.
It seems like a lot of times in our guides, we do that. We get cold starting off and then we catch fire late and make the day. But it's a hard way to live that way, for sure. Yeah. And that just goes to show you again why you don't, say we would have gone back to the hotel Friday and been like, oh my, like, okay, we got to reevaluate what we're doing here. Like, this is not working. Well, we would have missed probably everything Saturday too if we would have changed our theory, because we used the same strategy, same ideas, same thoughts in both days. So
could you imagine if we would have panicked after that Friday and sent out a new guide to everybody that bought it? Because we have everybody's emails that bought it and be like, listen, we got to change this, this, and this. The track was playing this way or this way. No, Don't do that. You got your plan. You got your handicapping. You've worked, for a month on this stuff. If you have a string of 4 or 5 bad races, do not let it, change. I mean, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say don't let it get you down because I'm the worst about letting it get you down. But don't let it affect what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You have this plan. You know how to handicap. Just stick with it, and eventually, like I said, Saturday we stuck with it, and it was probably our best Saturday ever at a Breeders' Cup at Keeneland last year. So
we got red hot, and then honestly, it was a fantastic day, and it was almost a historical day in terms of what we cashed because we were so close on a few tries that would have just ballooned it,
sent it over the edge. Yeah, exactly. But looking back, we were around it on Friday, just didn't get a lot of luck. So, like I say, hopefully this Friday, or I guess Friday from tomorrow, a week from tomorrow, hopefully we get off to a better start.
Yeah, exactly. Unless I guess the only disclaimer of what we talked about, if you just show up to the track ready to bet, you haven't looked at a single thing, just throw money. Who cares? It's like whatever strategy you want to use today, tomorrow, whatever race, just go with it. But if you go into that prepared like you should, just stick with the strategy.
Yeah.
Don't get off of it. Yeah, and like Michael Myers says, Central Quality saved me huge on Friday, and to that point, maybe you don't have a lot of bullets Friday and early Saturday, but maybe your bullets are late in the card Saturday.
Yeah.
Don't get antsy, stick with the plan, pound the, a lot of times, we'll bet, we don't bet we might have like 1 or 2 big bets on a card, but we bet it big, because depending on where, it doesn't matter to where the card is, that's where we're going to bet it. So,
well, to that point, Ricky M says, I agree. My first live Breeders' Cup, I hammered Beholder, Somberg, Exacta to close Friday. So that kind of reminds me of last year with our hammer Exacta in the turf with Tarnawa on top. And that turf bet looked really easy, from the outside looking in. No bet is ever easy, but on paper it looked like, well, that's the 1-2 runners of this race, right? And it paid huge because we hammered it. Well, Beholder, Songbird, looking at it, you're like, well, yeah, those are the 2 best horses. but that's what the Breeders' Cup gives you. You hammer that exacta, and it'll pay way more than it should because the pools are big and the races are tougher and there's more betting options. But still, Beholder, Songbird, exacta. Probably what you box it, you either box it or played it straight, $20, $50. Probably made $300-$400, I bet. I mean, that's what can happen at the Breeders' Cup.
Yep, exactly. All right, yeah, let's get into the. Yep, this is good conversation. I almost don't want to cut it off with the actual pod. So
I would leave this on because this will probably be better than we've.
This is probably better than what we're actually going to talk about. So I think we should just leave it on.
I guess the last thing before we go on, you can make bets at the Breeders' Cup that you're not going to make on a Thursday or Friday at Aqueduct, right? Like 2 favorites in an exacta is going to pay about 5 times what it would in a normal day. So the pools are so big and the fields are so competitive, you can get away with making bets like that. And I think that's important this year where we're looking at some races that are just going to be chalky. I don't know what we're going to do about it, but we'll get into that now, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Let's kick things off with, actually, you know what? Let's kind of touch on everything here. So, all right. The 38th annual Breeders' Cup comes back to Del Mar for the second time next weekend. And 56 from overseas to add to the 196 total horses pre-entered into this year's running, which 56 international is a record. And you want to ask, what the 196? I mean, that's pretty much, 200. I think we had 201 last year, 187 the year before, usually it's always right around that 190 to 200 mark. So this is pretty much right on cue with what you would expect. We saw 8 horses that won that are Breeders' Cup winners this year. Were entered this year as well. Of course, Nick Sco being that Nick Sco and Essential Quality headlining those. So really, it's nothing too surprising here, Halterman, as far as what we saw in the pre-entries, but it does maybe help weed through some of these races, especially the turf races. We'll start with Friday, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint, I should say. Really, got a full 12 horses as far as pre-entered with I think up to 19 actually total entered into the race. Halterman, anything that came out to you? I thought it was interesting seeing Wesley Ward. Obviously, Averly Jane, a horse we really like, but Twilight Gleaming is a kind of an interesting one for him as well.
This is one I'm totally up in the air with. I am shocked by the amount of European runners that are coming over here. This is really going to be tough. We can start with Twilight Gleaming, who was, made 2 starts in the United States and then went overseas, ran in a Group 2 race and finished second, and then won last time out in a stakes race overseas. By the way, the horse she finished second to is Quick Susie, also pre-entered for this race. I looked at this horse for a long time. Some of her replays, she looks very, very good here. I thought Go Bears Go, another interesting horse coming in from overseas. And again, this is kind of where I'm getting at. Who comes over to ride these horses? Does a regular rider stick with them? Do they upgrade riders? I think it's going to be huge. But that's an interesting horse. I thought Hierarchy coming in from overseas, another very interesting horse. So this field got a lot more international runners than it usually does, and it has me a little bit worried about Averly Jane's chances. I went from thinking, she's a pretty solid lock here to, we may have to go a little deeper than we thought. Armor, another horse that's very good. So the Europeans really showed out for this one this year.
Yeah, it's tricky for sure because especially you got obviously we kind of thought Averly Jane's a lock here because speed and the Wesley Ward angle, and then if he does this, run Twilight Gleaming, another horse that has speed or likes to have speed, and Wesley Ward. So what do you do? So it's a very interesting angle. I don't know. We'll see. Twilight Gleaming, by the way, didn't debut until April of this year. Finished second, came back and won on the turf at Belmont, dominated. He sent the horse straight over to Ascot, who finished second in the Queen Mary. I mean, a good second right there, ran a good race, and then won at Deauville next time out. And now it's here. So if this horse shows up here, it's a Stone Street horse, filly, I mean, shit, man, she could be very dangerous. And you have, there's a few. I know Chris likes one timer. Michael Myers has said one timer, another horse in here.
Everybody likes one timer.
Who has speed. Yeah, no, the chat's like lighting up with one timer. But speed, right? And if the trend of this race is, if you saw from the 14 trends, it's speed, right?
Yeah.
Like speed wins this race. Like that's just what it is. It's actually one of the most dominating trends that we have. I mean, it's just no horse ever sees behind them in this race, They go straight to the wire and they win. And then, of course, Wesley Ward has won 2 of the 3. So, I mean, speed is, if I go speed, now figure out who the hell it is. Who's going to be the speed of speed?
Well, there's tons of them that have a shot to be on the lead, and that's the problem. And I'll pile on with the one-timer comment. Larry Ravelli, he certainly is a guy that has horses very similar to Wesley Ward. He just runs them kind of on the I would call it a smaller circuit, like the Midwest circuit. Still good racetracks, but not like that major Kentucky, NYRA, California type circuit. But Larry Ravelli trains his horses for speed and to run, and win on these sprint races. So I certainly could see it. I mean, the horses won 3, won at 3 different tracks, won at 2 different surfaces. I mean, it's really quite fascinating to see this field and just the depth of how good it is compared to like a last year where it's like, well, Golden Pile is going to kill him,
Yeah.
Or 2 years ago, it's like 4-wheel drive is going to kill him.
I would say that what we see out of these pre-entries is that it gave us some pause for Averly Jane. You agree with that, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of like, I don't know how you'd have to feel really strong to pound her there, considering what we're seeing in here. So, I mean, she should be. I mean, she'd probably be the favorite. She probably should be. But if all those show up, man. They're gonna test that. They're gonna test that trend this year.
It's gonna be tough.
All right, let's go to the Juvenile Phillies. We had 9 horses entered here. Ain't Easy, Carol Memories, Desert Dawn, Echo Zulu, of course, will be the favorite there. Hidden Connection, Juju's Map, probably your second choice. Ness, Sequest, Terabee. But Juju's Map, Echo Zulu, Hidden Connection, obviously, earlier this fall. It was very good. But we knew Echo Zulu would be the favorite. We knew Juju's Map after how good she looked with Brad Cox. He's right there. I mean, nothing probably changed, right, for you. Although I should say Carol Memory's first preference is the Juvenile Phillies Turf. So this thing might be down to 8 horses. I mean, I think that you go into this race saying you're either Echo Zulu or you're not, right? Because if you believe in Echo Zulu, you got to think she can win. But if you're not, Juju's Map might be your horse.
I thought Juju's Map, as I look at this now, not now, as in the last couple of days, when you get those horses side by side on the past performances, so to speak. The one thing I like about Juju's Map, she was able to kind of sit off the pace last time out in that win in the Darley Alcibiades. Was a couple 2-3 lengths off, and I thought she drew inside, and I thought I'll just send her and see what happens. That's not what they did. They kind of sat off there just a bit. And I think that's going to be key here. You look at these runners, the competitive ones in this race. Wow, there's a lot of speed here. Echo Zulu has speed. Hidden Connection has speed. Ain't Easy has speed. I'd like Juju's Map to kind of draw outside of them and just kind of sit off. From a speed figure standpoint, at least the ones I look at heavily, it's a 2-horse race between Echo Zulu and Juju's Map. It's a decision I haven't made yet, but it's going to be one of those 2 for me. I get that Hidden Connection's a solid horse. I get that Ain't Easy looked pretty good last time out, but I think these other 2 are just better than everybody else.
I mean, I'm really still on the fence between these 2.
Me too.
Because I'm trying to do my best at not allowing myself to keep comparing Echo Zulu to Jackie's Warrior. We had this conversation last week, I think, about that. And it's like, they're not the same horse. There's nothing similar about them. So you kind of wonder, okay, what? But, you look at the numbers and, I mean, what has this horse ever done wrong? Echo Zulu, that is. And the answer is nothing. Admittedly, she's even getting better as she goes longer. So it seems like it's going to be tough to beat her. I feel like you're going to go after this race. You're going to be like, well, Brad Cox is going to win like a bunch of races. Like if he can win, because this will be the second Breeders' Cup race of the day. If he goes and wins this one, you're like, well, he's going to win like 4 again. So
yeah, you could go with that angle of I'm just going to take Cox. I'm going to take Cox over Asmussen. But Asmussen, he had a great Saratoga meet. He is ice cold right now at Keeneland. I don't think that plays into this really, because this is a different animal altogether. But I mean, if you're trying to separate the two, maybe that's an angle. I may flip a coin by the end of it. No, I won't do that. But I guess this is one where they draw could matter a little bit.
Yeah, that might, and that's just it. That might give you some sort of like in a race like that where you're just like, I don't know. I could see this going either way. You look for that one angle, that one thing that just can give you the, okay, that's what I'm going to go with. So, all right, let's go to the Juvenile Phillies Turf. 18 horses pre-entered here. Of course, 14 will be able to run. Bubble Rock. I'm not going to name all these horses. So, yeah. Anything that stuck out to you? Of course, the Juvenile Phillies Turf is damn near impossible anyways. And now we just have a shit ton field that, we're going to sit here and try to figure out, who's the best of the best. I don't know. I mean, this one might be the toughest one to, I guess Pizza Bianca, if you want to go, U.S., like so to speak, U.S., but I mean, a bunch of internationals coming over here as well. So, I mean, is there anything that stuck out to you that makes you want to take a shot against, if it's Pizza Bianca or whoever it is you're taking?
Well, if you read the trends that you have out on the website that you put together every year, this race is always won. Well, not always. Let me back up. This race is usually won by an American-based horse, and it's very interesting because the Juvenile Turf is not usually won by an American-based horse. So, but for this one, yeah, I mean, I don't take that too seriously, but at the same time, I think we've got a better shot to win this one once again. I like Bubble Rock. How about Brad Cox bringing this horse by more than ready here off 2 straight wins at shorter distances, 5.5 and 6 furlongs. Now going to stretch out to a mile. I think this is a horse that might be on the lead coming out of sprint races and now going to a route. I thought this horse was very interesting for Brad. I think this horse, is just one that's kind of slid right under the radar. Chad Brown has a pair in here, Consumer Spending, who's won 2 races in a row. I think, with Chad, you got to look at that horse. And then, the commenter says that Hottie drew in. I think she has a big chance. If you remember, Hottie ran just a few days ago at Keeneland and absolutely smoked that field with ease. Now she's in here. I mean, it makes sense to throw her in this race. So those are kind of the Americans. I really like Malavath for coming over from overseas. Has never been worse than third in 4 starts. 2 wins in a row. Had a Group 2 win at Chantilly last time out. Another horse stretching out in distance, but has a pedigree, obviously, like most European runners do, to stretch out with success. So those are kind of the 4 I'm looking at as of right now. You're right, though. This is just a crazy race.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I wrote the trends. I mean, yeah, it's 11 of its 13 runnings have been won by U.S. trainers, U.S. horses. That's 85%. Of course, that's for a turf race. That's insane. Turf race of the Breeders' Cup, to have it dominated by Americans is just nuts. So, but I did also clarify in it, because who is it though? This year we kind of thought at one point Wild Beauty might come over. She's not. So it's like, which American are you going to go with? Because you got Brad Cox, like you said, you got a couple Chad Browns, you got Clement, you got other. I mean, so it's like, yeah, the first step is, if you want to go with the angle that Americans have dominated this race, fine, that's great. It's probably an angle we'll use. Which one is it? So you've got to come up with that solution. You got to figure it out. And I mean, yeah, if Hottie drew in, and that's what you wanted to see, then use her. I think you go try to find a moderately priced American, one that's slightly overlooked, and that's probably a pretty good angle to go with there. Go with the Americans, go with the price, somewhat price. I wouldn't go too crazy, but go a little bit of a price, and I think I mean, right now that race is just completely wide open.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
Let's go to the Breeders' Cup TVG Breeders' Cup Juvenile. 14 horses were entered into the race. One of them, Jasper Crony, first preference is the Juvenile Turf. So, I mean, no surprises here. American Sanctuary, Barossa, Commanded Performance, Corniche, Double Thunder, Giant Game, Jack Christopher, Jasper Great, Jasper Crone, Oviatt Class, Papa Cap, Pinehurst, Rattle and Roll, Tough to Tame. So, a bunch of names in there, but Corniche, Jack Christopher, those seem to be the two. Which one is it? Is Bob Baffert gonna get? I guess it's probably his first attempt at winning the Breeders' Cup race this year. So, will Bob Baffert start 1-for-1 at the Breeders' Cup?
I've been watching the replays nonstop on this race specifically. The more I watch it, I think Jack Christopher's a better horse than Corniche. I think this horse has more talent. I mean, he's just been running away from his competition. The problem is we saw a horse do this up in New York last year, come from the Champagne where it looked like, damn, he is super, super good. And then he didn't run very well. And that was Jackie's Warrior in last year's Juvenile. So I'm still kind of debating between a couple of these. Jack Christopher has really caught my eye during the replay work. Let me ask you this. Have you seen the replay of Jasper Great at all? Have you watched him coming over from Japan?
I've heard of this horse, obviously because it's an Arrogate horse, but I've not seen the work. No.
No, sorry,
or
not
the win. I'm sorry, I didn't see the win. No.
Right. So he won by 10 lengths on debut in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
It looked really impressive. I have no idea what he was up against. How could you know unless you follow Japan? But wow, he looked good. He looked really good. So he's interesting, and he's another horse that has early speed.
How about this? You've got Jasper Great and Jasper Crone or Crony, whatever.
Yeah.
Two horses that are Jasper Great's Arrogate and Jasper Crony is Frosted. How about that? I mean, two horses coming from Japan that are just very, very nicely bred. You don't see a lot of Arrogates, so
no.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that'd be amazing. I mean, what if this horse comes over and dominates over? I don't see that. I mean, I agree. Like I think too. Like I think Jackie's Warrior, that horse has ruined me in terms of because it's like I felt so good about that last year, and then he obviously, and that's the thing. Like it very clearly was distance because look what he is. I don't think Jack Christopher is that. He looks so damn good, and you wonder what Corniche really is, in terms of, the number didn't come up super strong last time out. He didn't beat anything. I don't know. This is another race for me that I'm totally undecided.
I think another thing is, yes, the Jackie's Warrior coming out of Champagne, and that made us mad, but the last time the Breeders' Cup was at Del Mar, Chad Brown won with a horse that was coming out of the Champagne, and with good magic. He was a maiden, didn't even win the damn race, and then won at the Breeders' Cup. So, you have that on your side as well. I don't know. We'll see. I think it's going to be quite the showdown. Gosh, one thing, watching the replays, I think Jack Christopher is faster than Corniche early. What happens when Corniche gets behind a horse for the first time? I think that's going to be interesting as well if that happens.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Bob Baffert's always, he's a trainer that's gonna whatever you say about him. He especially for big races like the Breeders' Cup, they're gonna be fast.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna go. You often see Bob Baffert's win gate to wire, and if Corniche is gonna try to do that, then he's gonna have to fight with Jack Christopher. It's gonna set up a very hot pace. Is there any? I mean, are you kind of the same way where like the earlier race where you're like, it's one of these two? I just can't, like the Phillies Juvenile. Is it one of these two for you, or is it like, well, if these two hook up, maybe they burn each other out a little bit and someone else can do it?
I don't know. I just don't really see any other horse in here that I like. We got somebody said Pinehurst in the chat. I didn't like that horse very much at Del Mar. Yes, I know he won over this track, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that one. Rattle and Roll ran pretty good in the Breeders' Futurity. I think that's a horse to keep an eye on. I'm not sure about this race, but I think definitely a horse in the future that could make some noise. If you want to go the maiden angle, see if another maiden can win this thing. What about Command Performance for Todd Fletcher coming out of the second place in the Champagne and now right here? So maybe just like Good Magic, he could follow in that footsteps. I think you can go a little deeper if you use your imagination, but it definitely does look like a 2-horse race on paper. It's kind of going to depend on how we finally settle on how we're going to play the sequence.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're gonna have to go thin somewhere, and this definitely set. The sequence sets differently a little bit than what we'll see on Saturday, where you maybe have stronger plays, and if you're gonna pound it, you're probably gonna be able to get paid a little bit on Friday, because you got to think that some of these turf races might spring some upsets. All right, let's go to apparently the last race of the day. It's the Juvenile Turf, and 20 horses pre-entered into here. Excuse me. Nothing too surprising. All bar, Tiz the Bomb, who ran really well for McPeak at Keeneland last time out. You got a bunch of internationals. Annapolis, your horse that you really like coming into here, who is, according to the trends very well for this race as well. Anything that stood out to you here?
Yeah, one horse really stood out and kind of jumped off the page to me that is coming over for the race, and that's Modern Games for Appleby. And of course, he's had a great year over here bringing horses. Modern Games, tell me what this horse has done wrong. 5 races, has won 3 of them, finished second in another. Last time out, just dominated a Group 3 race at Newmarket, improving speed figure every single race on the time form rating. I think Modern Games is going to be awfully dangerous in this spot.
Yeah, this horse is stretching out for the first time, going from 7. This horse only ran 7 furlongs going to a mile, but yeah, really nearly winner of his last 4 races. That's interesting. And that's another one, right? That you want to see who's on, who's riding them, and who Appleby is. Who's got what horse, and that tells you a lot about that decision. So yeah, is there anything swaying you off of Annapolis? Are you, even with Albar, even with the horse like this, Tiz the Bomb was really good. Is this one? You got to go. Gosh, this might be the deepest of the sequence, right?
What's swaying me off Annapolis is Modern Games. I really like Modern Games. I don't know. I don't think I can not play Annapolis after, talking him up for so long. But this is kind of like a horse like Appleby's might bring over here with Modern Games is kind of like, oh boy, that's going to be awfully tough. Dubowie Legend is another horse I think looks pretty good. Finished second in a Group 1 last time out. Only got beat by 2 lengths. I really like that horse as well. So yeah, I'm awfully worried about Annapolis after seeing some of these European runners. This is a race kind of like the Juvenile Turf Sprint. It's like, wow, they've brought some good horses for this one.
Well, you can't. You'd be so pissed at yourself if you go all this way with Annapolis and touting this horse and how much you like Annapolis to win this race, then you switch off to some horse you hadn't heard of for Appleby, and then Annapolis flies and wins the thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to let Annapolis beat me. I know that. He might be the only American I use here. I don't know. We'll see as it gets closer. But yeah, I really like the European runners in this race.
All right, so Friday, that's going to wrap up Friday's card. Is there any, as far as how you've approached it, do you feel like Friday is going to be a much better opportunity to because obviously a lot of people are going to try to build their bankrolls up on Friday. That's the goal. Is Friday have more opportunity for long shots and crazy shit to happen, to get more creative, maybe play your 50 cents, dollar tickets, that kind of thing on your multis versus maybe pounding a $20 on Saturday because it's going to be chalkier? Is that how you see it kind of?
Yeah, for sure. I think all three of the turf races have major potential to produce a
Okay.
price, and the two dirt races, I think every year people try to make up some horses that don't really need to be contending. We see that every year. Like I remember even our first Breeders' Cup, Uncle Mo, and it's like we weren't even that good at handicappers. We'd only been handicapping for a couple of years. I'm like, shit, Uncle Mo going to win this easy. And, everybody's like, no, 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 he's not going to. I think we kind of hype up too many juveniles on the dirt. I think those two will be pretty straightforward. But listen, these turf races are going to be awfully, awfully tough and could produce prices for us.
All right, let's go to Saturday. Saturday racing at Del Mar. Kick things off with the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. I mean, no 7 horses in the race, and Gamine's going to be your heavy favorite. I know we've talked back and forth on this for a while as far as how we're going to play her. I think you don't even have her on top still if you're going to hold true to that. But Gamine is obviously Bella Sophia, CC Edgeway, Stelio Tillian. So, Proud Emma, Truth Hurts. Those are your horses. But to me, it's like Bella Sophia or Gamine, I guess. Because really, to me, when I look at this race, even if you want to try to beat her, it's tough to even get the horse.
Oh, I don't. These other horses, other than Bella Sophia and Gamine, these other ones just, they just don't match up. CC's a nice horse. Edgeway's a nice horse, but they're not to that level, right? To me, this is a 2-horse race. And look, people will probably go crazy on the chat once again, but Bella Sophia has been better than Gamine this year, period. There's not even a debate about it. She's been better. She's been faster. They ran on the same track the same day, and Bella Sophia was faster. If Gamine can't get back to the level she was last year for this race, she's going to get beat. Now, there's no reason to think she can't, other than, maybe you got some suspicions about Bob Baffert. But other than that,
No.
You would think Gamine should be able to run like she did last year. But listen, Bella Sophia matches up. And if you blacked out the name and you just looked at those 2 horses and what they've done this year, you'd think Bella Sophia would be the favorite in this race. So I'm going to stick with her.
Yeah. It's a tall task, to go from. I get it. And if you're going to play against her, she's the horse, right? Yeah. But to go, leave New York, go to California for clearly the biggest race of her career, and try to run down. I imagine try to run down Gamine. Is there any scenario that Gamine's not on the lead? Of course she ran down Serengeti Empress last year, because obviously Serengeti Empress was not letting anybody go to the lead other than hers. Bella Sophia. Who do you think who's going to actually get to the lead of those two?
Bella Sophia is going to be on the lead. That's my prediction. Listen, again, just based on raw numbers, she's faster early than Gamine this year. Whether that holds up, listen, these Baffert horses, it's anybody's guess what they're going to show up like,
That's true.
That's the way it's been ever since the Derby went down, all I know is I've seen Gamine run live twice. One was on Kentucky Derby weekend, and I thought she looked horrific. She won, but I thought, God, that horse isn't even close to the same. And the other one was at Saratoga last time out. I thought she looked better, but still not that dominant Gamine type of effort. Now, right. Maybe they're holding her back. Maybe, she knows she doesn't have to just bury him. And maybe, if a horse challenges her, she'll just bury him here. That's definitely possible. But I think Bella Sophia shoots to the lead, tries to get aggressive on the front end, and tries to take it gate to wire. And does Gamine have that kick like she did last year where she just ate, Serengeti Empress for lunch? Can't she display that again? If she can't, she's going to get beat.
Like you said, I think that's like that's a very tricky part to this year's Breeders' Cup is how you're handicapping Bob Baffert in particular, because just like as a handicapper who handicaps every track in America, you have to that trainer's juicing, that trainer's juicing. So that's Well, now you have Bob Baffert, and you have this whole shit show going on with him. But then you also have Breeders' Cup allowing him to run, but because giving him these extra protocols in terms of all the different testing measures and whatnot. Is he bold enough to try it again? You know what I mean? So it's like, if not, are all his horses going to be straight laced? And if they are they even going to run to the level that we've seen in the past? And those are all, those are all speculation, but those are all things you have to consider when you're going through and deciding, hey, is Gamine going to be good enough, to get it done? Is Corniche good enough to get it done over Jack? Whatever it is, like, you're going to have that conversation in your head as well as just picking the winner. So to me, it makes it incredibly tough with Gammy. And like you said, even we've seen her twice this year, and she still doesn't look what we used to seeing.
Yeah, she doesn't. I mean, I thought, honest to God, and you can confirm this to people. I looked at you after the Derby City Distaff in May. I said, I don't think she'll run again. Not watching it live, but when we saw the head on, it's like, God, she's all over the track. She acts like she hates, what's happening here. It could be she just hates Churchill Downs. Both of her races at Churchill Downs have not been good, so that could have been part of it, no doubt. But hey, listen, am I going to be surprised if Gamine wins this race? Of course not. If you said, hey, who's the most likely winner of this race? Sure, Gamine, but if Bella Sophia offers enough value, I'm going that way.
By the way, I love that we're talking all about Gamine and who trains and how juiced will she be if she's juiced, and Bella Sophia trained by Rudy Rodriguez. But okay. Anyways,
well, hey, the key is he's not under surveillance.
Yeah,
right?
I know, right? He's like, I got him now.
We'll let him get away with it,
Exactly. Why are they not doing this to everybody? Like, what?
If I know.
Like even and do exactly like, hey, listen, if you want to run your horse, because like that's what they're doing with Baffert. It's like you're under extra protocols and it's out of your pocket. You have to pay for all this. We're gonna make sure it gets done. Make that to everybody. Hey, if you want to run the Breeders' Cup, you got to do it clean, and you're going to pay for the testing, and we're going to make sure. Gosh, it seems so difficult to do that, right? Oh my gosh, it's unreal. All right, let's go to the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. Golden Pal is going to lead this one. Field 19 pre-entered, I should say. This race will have 12 with 6 also eligibles. It's really all over the place. I mean, we know a lot of these horses. Glass Slippers, and Amartiana for Kevin Ryan, whoever that is. But Glass Slippers coming in from overseas. I think that she's running, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or is it he? Whoever it is. I think they're coming back because this horse to defend. So, yep. Haltran, what are you gonna do? I know you like to play against Gold. You were testing the waters of playing against Golden Pal, a horse that we've leaned on last year in the Breeders' Cup. So what are you thinking here when you see this pre-entries?
There's no bigger fan of Golden Pal than me. I love this horse, but I don't know how you play him as a favorite in this race. I just don't. There's just if these horses all show up, if he wins, it is an unbelievable win. And I look at his international races. He lost both times. He faced an international field. And a couple of the horses that beat him are pre-entered into this race, and that was just 2 races back. I think he's excellent. I think his race last time out was the best of his career at Keeneland and the Woodford. I thought he was fantastic. Firecrow came up next to him, and he just turned him away like a gnat. The bad news is there's a lot better horses lining up here than Firecrow, and there's a lot of horses coming in from overseas. I'm having a hard time putting Golden Pal on top. I may leave him out completely in this race.
Dude,
this field looks a lot better than what he's ever beaten.
I mean, I get playing against them, but leaving them out completely could be dicey.
It's a situation on Saturday where you got to do that in a spot. You just have to.
I do get, in some regard, he's an all or nothing kind of horse, right? Like you kind of feel like he's either going to dominate the race and win, or he, you could tell at top of the stretch, like, uh-oh,
Yep.
he's about to get swallowed up, and here comes 4 other horses. So, yeah, I mean, I do get that. If you are on the fence with him, like, there's plenty of options. Like, Lieutenant Dan looks pretty good, and that's the thing. A lot of the theory or the thoughts were of even though he did look good, it's like you say, he turned these horses away because for half a second in that race, it looked like he was about to get beat, Golden Pal, but he turned it away. But it's like, if he has that same scenario with name 4 horses in here, he's going to have to be really good, really good.
I mean,
and he Glass Slippers last year won this race. She did when she won this race, I should say, ran a 104 buyer that day. And I mean, as good as Golden Pal's been, he hasn't sniffed a 104 in his career ever. So with Glass Slippers, like, isn't coming into this race as good as she was. I don't feel like going into this race as good as she looked last year coming into this race. But at the same time, you're good. I mean, it's not like she's been awful.
Yeah.
And so, you got 10 to 1 on her last year, and you may not get 10 to 1, but you're going to get a price on her.
Think about her for a second. Obviously, as ran pretty well in a couple of Group 1 races. Well, how about a case of you? Last time out, won a Group 1 race at 5 furlongs and earned a 129 time form figure. That's 12 points better than anything Golden Pal has ever done. And I don't know how you play this horse as a favorite. It's another one. It's like, yeah, if he wins, I'm not gonna be surprised. He's a great horse. There's a lot of great horses that are pre-entered into this race. And again, this is where jockeys are going to make a big difference here. We'll see who gets aboard who. Emirati Anna beat Golden Pal, last time they faced each other. So, and has a 122 and a 123 last 2 races time form figures. So, 5 and 6 points better than Golden Pal. Sorry, if Golden Pal's a favorite in this race, and I expect him to be, and I think that will be accurate. I think he will be bet down as the favorite. I have a hard time getting real excited about him in this race.
A case of you is interesting because this horse, back-to-back Group 1 races overseas, finished second by a half and then won last time out, going 5 furlongs, mind you. So, I mean, this is, this horse, if it ran this horse longer, he kept getting cut back and finally coming back to 5 furlongs the last 2. And look, I mean, it's pretty damn good. Now, you always wonder what these horses will do, or what would you assume would be a very firm and fast track on the turf at Del Mar. So we'll see. But yeah, that makes it interesting. I get, to try to land on Golden Pal, who maybe finally is facing a group of horses that he's just outclassed by, when they ever have brought this horse somewhere other than here, right? The horse is lost. I mean, yeah, it ran really well in the Norfolk Stakes last year, got second to the Learjet, but got dominated here this past year in August at York. I mean, just was not good, at all, really. Didn't have any of that kick that you're used to seeing. So, yeah, I mean, maybe you're kind of talking me out of him, and I'm kind of like, I'm starting to wonder if it is, do I play him here? I get it.
So if you want some advantages, I think 5 furlongs, that's very good. Speed in these races usually play well. So there's not like, oh, we can't like anything about him, but gosh, on a day that looks pretty chalky, minus a couple of races, this could be one you get away with beating. This could be one that gets a little bit over bet that we can beat.
Yeah, this is the Turf Sprint has been a race. Oddly enough, just 4 times in 13 years has Speed won this race gate to wire, which is kind of interesting considering it's Turf Sprint. So 4 of 13, 31%. If you want to play against with a horse that might be sitting off of Golden Pal, I'm not against it. I'll leave it at that. You've somewhat gave me the opportunity to talk myself into considering it. We'll see what I end up coming up with. when I really dive into these. Let's go to the big ass fans. All right, we're you smell that? That's chalk dust. We're starting to get into the chalk portion of the card here. The big ass fans. Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. 11 horses entered here, but they're all going to be looking at the ass of Life is Good. I mean, is there any way this horse loses?
I just don't see it. He just looks way too good. He's got a huge speed figure advantage over the field. I think if anybody can do it, maybe it's Ginobili. Horses look pretty good. Last couple starts at Del Mar. Hasn't quite faced anybody like this. Beat CZ Rocket by a length and 3/4. That's a good win. No question about it. But Life is Good as a different animal. I think he's just going to have to not show up to lose this. He looks as close to a lock as anybody I've seen at a Breeders' Cup.
I don't even want to mention his name. But you remember when Catalina Cruiser came to the Dirt Mile and we thought, there's no way that horse loses here.
Yep.
None. And he was awful. Now, like I said, like Life is Good has given us zero. I mean, there's zero indications that there's anything close to that going to happen here. But you look at what the Jerkins effect and everyone that, got beat, you got the shit beat out of him by Jackie's Warrior. Of course, Life is Good was right there. It was a hell of a race. Falling Sea, obviously a horse that's we're going to talk about here a little bit in the sprint. That's a solid race, comes back, dominates again. So I just kind of feel like no matter however he wants to do it, like he just by every state of the definition, Life is Good is going to outclass this field. I just don't see how he doesn't.
There's a lot of other speed in the race, maybe, and I mean by a lot, I mean there's like 4 horses that are pretty darn fast in this one. I don't know, maybe that gets him, but I think he's going to be like the speed of the speed, right? Like I think they're going to get out there and be like, no thanks. I'm not going to get involved with that. I just can't go against him.
You got to remember, I mean, of course, that was going 7 furlongs. He slowed it down a little bit last time at the Kelso, but going at, the Jerkins that day, he went 21 and 44. Just absolutely motored. And these horses can't keep up with that. That's part of what makes him so good. I mean, I guess, really, there's not, there's CZ Rocket, key him underneath. I mean, he'll do. He just doesn't have that same kick anymore. I think, he does like Del Mar, but I could see him. Key him in second and third all day long. Because he'll make a run and you'll be like, oh, he does the same thing every time. But he is going long he hasn't gone long in quite some time as far as consistently gone long, but he's only got 1 win in 5 starts. So I think it's a hard pass for me on CZ Rocket on the top end. I've burned that bridge. There's no way. Like I'm just saying, like Life is Good. I don't see how he gets beat here. All right.
Can I read like this comment right here? And I get it. Like I love Life is Good, but it's still worried that all of that quote unquote talent had more to do with Baffert. The only thing I could say is it was a long time between the San Felipe and the Alan Jerkins. So all that would have been worn off, right? If Baffert had any
residue
long-term effect. His Alan Jerkins was off the hook. Yeah. So either Fletcher's got the same stuff or this horse is just really good. But I'm not too worried about it after that race.
Yeah, and you have a trainer like Todd Fletcher who, is one of the best ever. So he's gonna make sure the horse is right. The horse is gonna be entered, and if the horse isn't, the horse won't. So he's gonna do right by the horse, and this I don't see. Because even if he doesn't, like even if he reminds me of, he's not obviously as talented. Probably he might be though. Because Life is Good might go to the Classic next year. You never know. Like that's what Todd Fletcher said. Like we're going to do this route, and then we'll see what he does next year. But he's kind of like that Knicks go, where it's like he just goes so fast that you have to make it basically a decision to not go with him, or if you go with him, you're screwed. You have to be a horse named Jackie's Warrior if you're going to beat him at less than a mile, I think.
Yeah. I agree. I totally agree. I think Life is Good, and then I know we can move on because we don't need to talk about this one for much longer, but Life is Good this year reminds me of like Liam's Map, the year he won at Keeneland, where it's just like, he's just better than the rest of the dirt mile horses.
By the way, just if you guys haven't, I didn't like Liam's Map's one of my favorite horses ever. And, we got to go visit him at Lane's End, and we were obviously there at the Breeders' Cup that year when he won. And I was putting together the highlight audio clip that you guys hear in the pod stuff. I was putting that together, and I pulled some audio from that and stuff, and I was just that's when I went and watched that race all over again. And I had forgotten how unbelievable of a performance that was that year, because this is a horse that maybe not quite like Life is Good, but a horse that showed plenty of speed, a very quick horse, terrible start, was mid-pack. I mean, all kinds of trouble in the race, just seemed like he was out of it, and just came flying home and just dominated the hell out of that race after he got in the clear. Just if you can't, you got to go back and watch what was that, 2015, yeah, 2015 at Keeneland. Of course, that was same year as Pharaoh dominating in the Classic. So go watch that if you haven't. Just trust me, it's worth it. All right, let's go to the next one up. The Maker's Mark, Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. 16 horses pre-entered here, and by the way, they're like all international, right? The Daria horse that we made a lot of money on last year's Breeders' Cup. Loves Only You, the Japan horse. My Sister Nat, Pocket Square. Okay, so you got the Chad Brown, Tarnal. Of course, Tarnal will probably be in the turf. Warlike Goddess, of course. The horse has been dominant all year long here, most all year long. Dude, this is a tricky one because we know how Chad Brown, we know how internationals do here.
It's one of these Euros. I don't know which one yet. That's what I'll say. They look really, really good.
So tell me this, because this stat is so crazy. Like, last 9 years, it's Chad Brown or international. That's it.
Yeah.
It's one of the two in last 9 years. And that makes sense, right? Like, it does not surprise you. But I listed off pretty much all internationals and Chad Brown. So which one is it?
With the Daria, we kind of caught lightning in a bottle last year for sure, but she just hasn't been quite as good this year. So she has me a little worried. I don't think I'm going to go back to her. That Rogier horse beat a Daria last time out. That horse looks pretty good. Loves Only You from Japan looks pretty damn good to me. I've decided on this one, but another just fantastic group of European horses coming over for this race. Just tremendous.
It really is. You got to think this trend is going to hold up, because Chad Brown, both of his horses could win. The fact that you see, you and I have been big Pocket Square believers from early on, and then we obviously, because that horse is like, sucked, and then he admittedly he's like, well, too quick, went too fast with her.
Yeah.
But to get her here, to have that confidence to bring her back here, makes you interested, to say the least.
If you've watched her last two races, she's pretty good in these last couple of starts. And if you were paying attention to the races she lost, it's not like she was running against shitty horses. Those horses were really good. I remember you texted me right after the Diana, and you're like, Pocket Square is terrible. She sucks. I was like, she got beat 3 lengths to some really good runners. She's not great, but those horses are good in that race. And she come back and she's won 2 in a row really nicely. But again, you know what the problem is? She's against some really good runners again. So yeah, I don't know.
You can look at it 2 different ways. That she got less class, she looked good, or she needed the confidence, needed to get better, just needed to do that. Now she's back in the big dogs and she can hold her own. Yeah, because Althea, Summer Romance, Lost Signaire, Daddy's a Legend, those kind of horses who was beating her, the Diana and the Just a Game. You got to remember, she went off the favor of the Just a Game, and then kind of backed off, went to Allowance, even dominated, went to the Athenia Grade 3, dominated. So, yeah, you wonder. And even if you read the quotes from Chad Brown, he's kind of been like, listen, I mean, I wasn't necessarily gonna, run her here. Like that probably wasn't his idea especially after Diana, right? But he's like, what am I supposed to do? She keeps looking better and better, and obviously there were high hopes. It's a Juddmonte horse, and very a lot of high hopes with the horse to go straight from allowance and then straight to the just a game and then the Diana. So you got to think the belief was there all along. So
yeah,
I'm just saying that's she's interesting to say the least.
Very.
So and
Yep.
and then my sister Nat obviously.
Not as interesting.
Not as interesting, but one that would piss you off badly, because it's just like really all year, until so. But no, I mean, I think that loves only you. That Japanese horse is very interesting too.
Yep.
A lot of Japanese interesting horses this year. So
Yep.
That'll be interesting to see if interesting is the word, I guess, tonight. It'll be cool to see if these horses do anything, if they can actually hold their own. Over here or not? What's the deal? Is Love gonna run over here?
I'm gonna run in the turf, not
Turf though, right?
Or not the filly mare. Gonna run in the regular turf. Yeah.
But she is coming for sure, right?
Well, I mean, that's what they say. Yeah.
That's what last I saw was that she was gonna run in the turf.
Yeah.
Which makes that turf race. His Love obviously has ability. All right. Let's go to the next one up, the Qatar Racing Breeders' Cup Sprint. 12 horses pre-entered into here. Of course, Easy Rocket is entered here. Second preference is in the dirt mile, so imagine we'll see him here instead of the dirt mile. Following C, Jackie's Warrior. That's the matchup, right? Because you have Jackie's Warrior, who's been dominant all year. Following C got beat badly by Jackie's Warrior the last time they faced, but then he came back and looked awesome. And so people are going to say, wait, hang on a second. Falling C can upset him here. Hang on. Jackie's Warrior. Is he going to win?
I think he just has to not fire if he does. I mean, I just don't know that anybody's good enough to beat him. To me, Following C is the biggest competition, and he beat the hell out of that horse at Saratoga. Now 6 furlongs, maybe a little bit different setup. Maybe Following C can kind of turn the tables. Looked awfully good last time out, but I look at Jackie's Warrior and say, you know what? Shows up, wins, just like Life is Good. I think both these horses are just elite. I don't think the older sprint division is very good this year, and therefore I just think Jackie's Warrior is going to get the job done as long as he shows up with his normal effort.
I find it hard to believe that Following C could get just, speed as bad as he did from Jackie and then turn the tables on him here. It just seems so unlikely for me to see that. But I guess it could happen. I don't think it's going to happen. Jackie's Warrior that day he just has been unflappable. He's just proven to be better than the rest of these horses, especially the rest of the 3-year-old sprinters, and that includes Following C. I mean, there's no. To me, he's right up there with the lock of Life is Good.
Well, I'll tell you what I really loved about Jackie's Warrior the last 2 starts. He was able to sit. Well, the last 3, I guess actually, he was able to sit off the lead. That's the key to this race, right? Like you don't see a gate to wire winner. Well, I think that was one of the trends, right? Gate to wire winners don't happen in this race very often. But Jackie's Warrior has shown he can sit off of it. So I think that's the big thing, that one last dimension that we needed to see from him, and we've seen it.
It is kind of amazing. It's one of the kind of the most odd trends that we have is that just twice in the 23 years of the sprint, a horse has won at gate to wire. Just twice. Whitmore came off the pace. Of course, Chance-a-Lot couldn't hold off Matoli. It just doesn't hold for whatever reason. It's super weird, but you got to think. I mean, it's happened, so it's not like it's like impossible, obviously. But a horse that showed last time out, if he's gonna dominate, it's gonna be on the lead. I think Following C goes. I think he tries to put it to Jackie's Warrior, and we might see kind of like okay, well, if you want to go, we'll sit off, just like what happened in the Jerkins.
That's what I would do if I was riding, but thank God I'm not.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Depending on what happens, you might wish you were. So
I don't think so.
yeah, dude, it's I mean, no matter what, like this is gonna be one. I mean, it's not. It's definitely not Life is Good, Jackie's Warrior, but I mean, it has the makings of like, okay, like you got beat, got dominated by this horse last time out. Fletcher sending them back after dominating the next time out. Here we go again. Let's see. So I think it makes for a good race, even if it doesn't necessarily pan out to be as close as the last of the Jerkins. All right, let's go to the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile. This is a massive field of 20 or 24 pre-entries, I should say. This talking about internationals and Chad Brown. Chad Brown's got blowout in here. Of course, got Stormy, Casa Creed, Hit the Road, Mo Forza, Order Australia's out, Raging Bull, Smooth Like Straight. Then you got a bunch on the outside looking in, but shit, man, like I guess Ivar would be in if Order Australia is not going to come. So, I mean, this one, man, because like a blowout to me is very interesting, like, but shit this is a, especially seeing Aiden O'Brien shipping over a few, Mother Earth. Of course, you've got Appleby with Space Blues, a lot of internationals, dude.
It's a crazy race. Right now, I like Space Blues replays. I've been looking at that horse. I think that's a really, really nice horse. And again, another Appleby horse coming over here. Broken record there. Gosh, I think, I don't know, Mega Wall in this race. It's just such a good race. I mean, I could see 7 or 8 of them winning. This is going to be a down to the wire decision for me.
And honestly, it's a decision that you won't feel good about ever.
No.
Like you won't go into this being like, yep, that's that. I feel good. I finally, it's not your uni or whatever it is. Like it's tough.
To jump in, and we were talking about riders to begin this show, and then Ricky said if Pratt jumps on blowout instead of Mo Forza, that will be telling. So things like that, we're in a race like this, so we talked about when it's close, things like that will be a big determining factor. So that's kind of what, we were talking about, hey, how much of the guide do you have done? This race, very little, because it's like, the draw and the riders and shit, that's going to matter in this race big time.
And honestly, Ricky, that's one that I'm so like, if Pratt, because look, Pratt, I even made mention of this last time before the First Lady. It was like, listen, Pratt's back aboard. He's ridden this horse 2 previous and rode really, really well. Damn near won one of them and won the next one. He's going to be tough. And of course, he just is so good on the front end with her. If he chooses her over Mo Forza, I might be on that boat. I mean, because it's just tough to ignore something like that. Where Pratt goes, I might follow. If that's not a bad way to go if you're looking at which horse to bet on in a race like this.
Yeah, for sure. It's. I mean, what international jockeys pick what horses? That's going to be big too.
Yeah, Michael says all. It worked out
last year for him. Yeah, Order of Australia, huge.
There you go. Yeah, so I mean, it might be an all race. Yeah, especially considering how chalky some of these other legs are going to get in the sequence. So, yeah, I mean, it really, you can. That's the thing. That's the amazing part and the difficult part about the Breeders' Cup. You can come up with any of these really in a race like this. Come up with an angle, and you can get there with one of these horses. It's not terribly hard to do. I mean, there is a Breeders' Cup. They're good enough, right? In a race like this, it seems so evenly matched. So don't let the price or, even if you're wanting the price and the Pratt jumps up off, it's like, well, I mean, if you really like whoever, Mo Forza, and Mo Forza won't be a price, but the point is, like, you can make some money in a race like this. It seems wide open. Space Blues, I'm with you. That horse looks really good. Of course, Appleby coming over, which worked well. Worked okay, I guess. So, yeah, this one to me, out of all of them is other than maybe one or two of the juvenile races, definitely the one on Saturday that I'm most like kind of I don't want to say clueless, but slightly clueless. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go to the distaff. This is a field of 11, probably going to be a field of 11. Shapes up. And really it comes down to Latruska. This is one of the big, I feel like everyone likes to try to beat her every time she runs. They don't, because she wins every time. But Latruska in here going to be the favorite, but you're going to have a few in here. Clairiere, Dunbar Road, Horologist, Blue Stripe as time goes by. Malathot, the Japanese horse, Marchi Lorraine, Private Mission, Royal Flag, and of course Brad Cox has got She Dares the Devil. This, as much as I like Latruska and I've been kind of in her corner trying to defend her against you, I'm starting to tap my brakes a little bit with her, just because I feel like there's a lot of speed in here that's going to test her, and there's a lot of horses that I think could close better than she's faced in the past.
That's the key. If somebody gets to her early and softens her up, like what happened up at Saratoga, and you got Malathot and She Dares the Devil behind her instead of, I guess Dunbar Road might still be behind her in this race, but I don't care about that. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, she could have got beat at Saratoga that day. And again, I tried to go against her first half of the year. I've been with her ever since, I think that race at Belmont. She's won 3 in a row easy. I've been on her every time, not to brag. I mean, shit, who wouldn't be, right? But we saw her get softened up at Saratoga. If she gets softened up here, she's got a shot to lose. So I think the pace is going to be key. Can Private Mission press her? And so at the distaff and then the classic both, I think it hinges on what the Baffert horse is going to do. And in this one, if Private Mission can press, I think it sets it up for a Malathot, for a She Dares the Devil, that type of horse. Maybe even a Clairiere who keeps running better and better with each start.
Yeah, no, that's just it. Like it just feels like she keeps getting this a little bit better. And if she were to finally, break through this, it would be a hell of a time to not have her, right? So I wanted to point out a comment here that Nick, I think it was Nick Feldman, confirmed today that Joel Rosario was going to be on Blowout.
Okay.
So I was just kind of double checking it. No offense, Nick, but it does look like he is. Joel Rosario will be on Blowout in the miles. So yeah, I mean, he's on Jackie's Warrior and Sprint, of course, but there's your answer in terms of Pratt. He's stating he's not switching over. So so just there you go. So Pratt will not be on Blowout, which, I mean, I can't be on Blowout anymore because I love Pratt that much. All right, I agree. I mean, Malathot to me is who I'm leaning on the most. I've always liked Malathot, and just she's a nose or whatever it was away from being unbeaten, and you got to think this pace is going to be so red hot that, man, they're going to be. She's like the one that's just going to keep. She's not going to come flying, but she's just going to keep coming. She's going to keep coming. She's going to keep coming. If the pace is hot, it might be set up really nice for her.
I think it might. I think it's very interesting. I think it's going to be a very interesting race. This is where you could get into some trouble. Like if you're trying to make up reasons to beat horses, and it's just like, well, shit, Latruska has been better than these horses all year. I don't feel like we're doing that, though. I think we're using logic. I think we're using what we've seen at Saratoga when she did kind of start to slow down and just nobody behind her could go get her. I think if that thing happens again, she can get beat in the spot. But we'll see. I mean, she's been so damn good. She's the champion older female no matter what happens here.
Yeah, no. Charles says it's the only single on the card is Latruska for him. Well, so, I mean, there you go. That's the thing. She has the ability to make us all. Yeah, if you're trying to beat her, and she has a very she's done it to me. She's done it to you. Like we've been on the right side of her. We try to beat her. She makes you look stupid. If she could, I mean, she's definitely that kind of horse. So, all right, two to go here in the Breeders' Cup. Let's go to the Breeders' Cup Turf. Obviously, going to be a full field here. 22 horses pre-entered. But I mean, the biggest thing here is Tornala comes back to try to defend her title here in this race. Rock Emperor, Love. We talked about Guffaw, domestic spending. Pratt's going to ride domestic spending, right? So, Acclimate, Astronaut. I get mentioned Love's Only You, which I don't know which one is Love's Only You. First preference, so it probably won't be in this one. Be in the Philly Mare Turf. Yeah. Let's see. Tornala second preference in the Philly, second preference. So first preference. So Love's Only You would probably be Chinook second preference. So Love's Only You will probably be the only one. I think, did I see that Imperador is out?
Yes, Imperador is out.
Yeah, so that's gonna bump up Japan. If Japan is coming, or Trubovin, is Trubovin running?
Well, they're hoping, but
I mean, that's the plan. Okay, so I haven't really talked to you about this race much. How much are you still on Tornala after last year?
I gotta stick with her because here's the difference. I was on Adaria and Tarnawa last year. They both won. Tarnawa has been fantastic this year, right? Where Adaria just hasn't. Tarnawa won her debut this year, was second in a race where she absolutely should have been first, was herded the entire length of the stretch, still almost won, got beat by a very good horse. And then last time out in the Arc was second by 3/4 a length in a bog of a mess of a track. It rained all day that day. Technically, this would be a class drop from the Arc. I mean, the Arc's one of the toughest races, if not the toughest on the turf in the whole world.
Yeah.
I think if she brings her A game, I just think she's a lot better than the rest of these. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. I just think she's better than the rest of these horses. But I don't think you can go as short as we did last year. You got to remember domestic spending at one time we thought was the best horse in the country. So I think he makes still makes sense here. Walton Street came over here up to Woodbine and just looked amazing in a turf race up there. So there's some tough ones here, right? I mean, there's some shots you're gonna have to take here against Tarnawa, but I still kind of lean her.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Walton Street man has me. That horse, when that horse won like that, you thought, oh gosh, that horse is like, you're gonna see that horse in the turf for sure. Oh yeah, I know. This one to me is not. Last year was like, hey, Tornala, magical boom, lock them up. That's it. I really want to press domestic spinning. I'll be interested to see what kind of morning line we get on domestic spinning here. What kind of odds we might see with all these horses coming in, like horses like Walton Street and of course Tarnawa. I mean, you're going to get a fair price on domestic if you believe, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you would think you're going to get 6-1, maybe.
And that's another one that just, we were so high on him back in, July, August, really, I guess, till he got beat in the Mr. D. And then we haven't seen him since. And he's been training like constantly. So, I mean, the plan, but it's just, I don't like that either, that I know it's been a horse that he's had trouble staying healthy and kind of keeping on the track. So there's clearly a plan there in terms of, we wanted to get him to the Breeders' Cup and make sure he's good. And that's just why they've done this route. But you don't like coming in off of when is that? Like, 2.5 month layoff and, got beat that the last race. It makes it a little dicey. Now you have to like that he's won at Del Mar as well. That's a plus.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, there's still a lot to like about him. Gosh, at the end of the day, you might think about it if that morning line and that projected price that you think you're going to get is high enough. But Tarnawa versus domestic spinning at his best, I think Tarnawa was a little bit better. I think the way you beat her in this race is get in front of her early. I think if they're both running from the same spot, I think Tarnawa was just a little bit faster. I really do. I think she's going to close pretty strongly here. Now, Walton Street can sit a lot closer. So that is an interesting one to me. Maybe gets a jump on these other international horses.
Yeah, and like Kevin said, there's going to be pace in this race. So,
Yeah.
unlike the Arlington race where he didn't. Now, I hate to use that excuse with really good horses, but it was an excuse, so to speak. So, I mean, to get beat by two Emmys, I don't care how much of a pace advantage he had. I mean, that was kind of the thing I felt about that race. But still, I mean, the pace will be there, but the pace will be there, like Halterman said, for a lot of these,
Yep.
like Tornala as well. So we'll see. I keep feeling the urge to pick domestic spinning, but again, this is the whole point. Especially me, because Halterman's really dove into these. I've looked at them a little bit, but I haven't dove into them. So I wait to make my final decision until later. I'll probably go through that this weekend to make the final selections from, at least for me, and then I'll go through it on Wednesday right before we release it, make any changes. But this race again, I mean, I have some thoughts on who I'm wanting to use, but how you decipher that into like a race like this, how you decipher, say, 5 or 6 horses that you like in the turf and turn that into your top 3 is almost impossible. I mean, it's almost like playing the lottery in these turf races. So it just goes to show you how difficult it is sometimes to hit some of these tries and supers and things like that. So, all right, let's go to the main event. Of course, definitely no surprises in the Breeders' Cup Classic. 10 horses entered here. Stiletto Boy, dead second preference in the dirt mile. Who cares? Our Collector, Essential Quality, Express Train, Hot Rod Charlie, Idol, Knicks Go, Max Player, Medina Spirit, Stiletto Boy, Triple E. That is your field of 10 pre-entered. Essential Quality, of course, for Brad Cox. And then Brad Cox has the favorite, Knicks Go, likely favorite, Knicks Go, Essential Quality, Hot Rod, Medina. This is it, man. This is what we've been waiting for. I mean, have you gotten any closer to firming up your thoughts on this race yet?
Well, I mean, I think we were talking about this a little bit earlier. The thing that just is really frustrating is you got Medina Spirit, and can he press Knicks Go? How will Medina Spirit show up in this race? What will he do? What are Baffert horses going to do? And oh, by the way, he's probably the key for anybody to win is Medina Spirit, right? Because I don't think Hot Rod Charlie is going to press Knicks Go. I just don't think that's going to happen. Well, that leaves Medina Spirit, and I think he's capable of pressing him. How long he can do that is going to be really interesting. The pace makes the race more than ever. This is the case. If Knicks Go gets out by himself, it's over. And they could go 3 miles. It's over. He's not going to fade if he's out by himself and he gets the trip that he's been getting. Can he get it? That's the key to it. I still think Essential Quality will be the one that's going to be awfully tough, and I think Hot Rod Charlie can be as well if he gets softened up. But Medina Spirit's got a job to do. And oh, by the way, Medina Spirit and Bob Baffert are trying to win this race too. And is the best strategy to win the race go head to head with Knicks Go? Probably not. So it's a very complicated situation from a pace standpoint.
The thing that's wild to me is, yes, Knicks Go is trying to go longer than he's ever gone. He's never attempted a mile and a quarter in his career. Of course, he's been really good at a mile and eighth. 6 2-turn races that Bob Baffert, that Brad Cox that Brad Cox has trained him. He's 6 for 6, 2-turn races, 6 for 6 with Brad Cox. So to me, even though he is stretching out to a mile and a quarter, we've alluded to this many times. It's something that with the way this horse makes his turns, how easily he does it, extends leads in the turns, makes him almost impossible to beat if you really want to go down to it, I guess, in 2 turns. I just keep going back to that. I kind of feel like we're going to see a repeat of the Pegasus, of the Whitney, like where it's just he goes. There's all this talk about who's going to pressure him, who's Swiss Guy ever going to do it, or who's going to go up with him. And then it's like, well, no one did because they can't. And this one might get dicier. I don't know because of it being longer, but I just feel like, and we've even said this after races where we watched them in person. It's like, I don't know if they would have ran 2 times around they were ever catching Knicks Go, because he just kind of has, even though it, you know what I mean? Like he just feels like he can continue going.
if he gets the trip, it won't get dicey. I'm very confident in that. He runs very fast early, and he can still run fast late. And you can speculate how he does that if you want. It's not natural, you wouldn't think, but it's the truth. And the biggest thing, and we've talked about it on the show a lot, and we'll talk about it again. He just runs that first turn something fierce. Horses will be next to him, and then when he gets rounded that turn and into the backstretch, he's 5 and 6 ahead. He just buries horses. I mean, if he can do that here, I don't know how you beat him. I really don't. But I just feel like somebody will go with him. I mean, my God, you look at this race, it's like somebody's got to send. You can't just let him walk the dog. So I don't know. So surely somebody will, right? We say that, and then nobody went with Authentic last year, and look what happened. So
exactly. And even like you look back at oh gosh, I guess it was the San Felipe. Medina Spirit had been very. Now again, that's a long time ago. Not that long, but long enough. Medina Spirit, very fast horse, then gets in there with him. With Life is Good, I should say. I'm sorry. In the San Felipe, and he can't touch that, and he finished second, and he just kind of went around the track behind Life is Good, and maybe that's an over dramatic kind of, and he's obviously a different horse now than he was in the San Felipe, but maybe he can't quite touch Nick Sco.
You know what? That's a really good point I haven't thought about, because you know who else he couldn't touch in the Santa Anita Derby? Rock Your World.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, speed. Like he might be fast, but he may not be that fast in terms of some of these speed. Obviously that horse was a freak that day in the Rock Your World. Rock Your World, by the way, coming running on the turf on Sunday.
Oh, cannot wait!
Cannot wait. You set your clocks for that one.
I'm going to get up real early and handicap that race tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know about this one. This comment, Charles, about Nick Sco doesn't ship well. He's ran everywhere, like literally everywhere. And the 6 starts that I just referred to that he ran in 2 turns, I think all 6 were at different tracks.
I was going to say, what do you want him to do? Like he.
Okay, so since Brad Cox, the 6 2-turn races I was referring to: Oaklawn, Keeneland, Gulfstream, Prairie Meadows, Saratoga, Churchill. There's 6. Now some of them he didn't ship, I guess. Churchill he wouldn't have shipped. But still, like the horse ships just fine. Shipped to Gulfstream just fine.
He shipped to Iowa. He shipped to Saratoga. He shipped to Gulfstream. Let's see, Oaklawn would have been home, Keeneland home, and Churchill home. So, yeah. But he shipped and won the Pegasus, the Whitney, and the illustrious Cornhusker Handicap. Okay, you can maybe draw a line. But shipped and won 2 pretty big races, and shipped the week of the race for both of them as well. So I don't think that's going to be a problem.
What do you make of, because his really his only 2 non-efforts that necessarily were the Saudi Cup and the Met Mile. So the Met Mile, you could say blame the one turn if you want. The Saudi Cup, I guess, is that I know I've heard Brad say they got a little too greedy there, wanted to run off the Pegasus. Is that the excuse you have there? I mean, is it because we always say he's all or nothing. Well, he's really been almost all this whole time. He's only been nothing twice, and then one of them was you can make an excuse for the one turn. What about the Saudi Cup?
Well, Saudi Cup was 1 turn. That's a 1-turn mile and an eighth. So
that's right, it was, wasn't it?
I mean, that's just what it is. Listen, I feel like I know this horse is so well at this point, and he was ahead, in not getting pressured really and going kind of slow in the Met Mile. And what did I looked at you and what did I say? I said, we're fucked. He has no chance. Look at him. He's not into his stride at all. I will, and you said it at the Whitney, you pointed at like a tower over right on the backstretch right after you make the turn. You go, we'll know when he hits that tower if he's going to win or not. And we knew. Mm-hmm. It's just sometimes, in the 2 races that he's lost under Cox, he never got into that nice, easy flow, that nice, easy stride gallop. He's got him like, That was the thing. Like at Iowa, people are like, it's Iowa. Who cares? It's like, okay, yeah, but did you see how he ran? Did you see that nice, easy stride? I don't care who was behind him. They weren't ever going to catch him. And he backed that up in the Whitney, So that's just what it is. Can he get out there and can he get in that nice, easy, unbothered stride? And if he does, the race is over. Now, nobody will catch him if that's what happens. Again, go 3 miles if you want. They're not going to catch him if he gets into that gallop. It's over.
So someone that can maybe try to limit that, I don't know. Steve says Art Collector is giving him Vino Rosso vibes this year at 12-1. Gotta bet him. So can Art Collector put any pressure on Nick Sco?
Yeah, possibly. I really like Art Collector. I think you know that. And I think people that have listened for the past year know that I really like Art Collector. My fear with him is he needs that on the lead type of trip, or at least real close to it. I don't think he's fast enough to get there. And I don't think he's going to be enough of a threat coming from out of it. Like Vino Rosso could come from out of it and make that big sweeping move, right? I don't think Art Collector has that kind of move in him. And so therefore I don't think I can bet him in this race. I do like him though, as a horse.
I don't think he can do it either. I think he's one of those horses that would just unbelievably dramatically be beaten into the ground by trying to keep up with Nick Sco.
Sometimes it's kind of like, does that sound right when you say it? Like Art Collector won the Breeders' Cup Classic. I can't get there. I just can't. And
Speaking
the bigger races he's been in, he's gotten beat.
Speaking of that, can you say Hot Rod Charlie won the Breeders' Cup Classic?
At the beginning of the year, I would have said no, but right now, yeah. I certainly can say that with a straight face. I mean, he just gets better and better. Him and Essential both just get better and better.
I mean, I trust me. I want to use him. I want him to win because I like the horse. But can he get past? He's got to get through Essential Quality. Yes, he did beat him in the Kentucky Derby, but they both lost that day. Belmont, of course, he got beat by Essential Quality. He's got to get by him, but he's also got to try to deal with the likes of a Nick Sco, a horse that he's never faced the likes of. It's a lot to ask. Now, he does keep getting better, though. So, yeah, I think he could do it. I just think he's up against it a little bit in terms of how good is he, especially when he's not in the lead.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's good off the, he's versatile. He's shown it. But on the lead, I think he's super dangerous. And I don't know if he can actually do that in the, if you point to that same spot, like I pointed to in the Whitney, and we hit that spot and it's Hot Rod Charlie and Nick Sco kind of right at each other, that's worrisome for both of them.
Yeah, it's going to be bad.
It's going to be like you'll just follow the marks because the track is on fire. Yeah. And that's how and then of course, and they're sitting there at Essential Quality saying, "Thanks, guys. I got this here in a little bit. No worries."
Yeah. And my biggest thing with, I guess not thing, but my biggest problem with Hot Rod, it's like, God, he's really good, and he's doing a lot of good stuff, but so is Essential Quality. And, when those two kind of went head to head at the Belmont, Essential Quality got the best of them. But the big thing is Hot Rod is that tactical speed, and on a track that plays usually to horses that are kind of closer, that could be the equalizer.
It could. You never know. I mean, these horses, like especially these 3-year-olds have been so good this year, and maybe they're saving for this. They've had hard campaigns. These 3-year-olds have been battling each other, and 3-year-olds don't win this race a lot, but they have lately, and they've all been with Bob Baffert, and that's Medina Spirit, of course. If he goes and wins this, like you guys need to all get on board with this, okay? Because you need to mentally prepare yourself for what is very possibly going to happen, and that's Medina Spirit winning the Classic. I'm I'm not okay with it. I've accepted it. You need to get on board with this because I think it's very likely. I do. I think it's very likely that Medina Spirit could win.
God, it's just a sickening thought.
It is.
It's just
but I don't want to be sitting there at Del Mar thinking, oh my gosh, like Bob Baffert, this fucker did it again. And I will think that, don't get me wrong, but it just seems like it's very possible.
I can't get mentally prepared for that. It'll break me if that happens. It'll break me mentally if that happens.
Well, I mean, listen, I think you use them defensively. You have to. I'm not picking him to win on top. I just can't. But I think you have to prepare. You do need to prepare yourself, and you need to. Yeah, exactly. See, you learned your lesson. Now using Authentic and Derby and adding them to the Classic. There you go.
The problem with that, like Authentic, you felt like, damn, like that's just a good horse. This horse, I just never felt he was that good. Although his last race at Santa Anita was sharp. It was really
good.
sharp.
It was really, really good, actually. So,
yeah.
And more than anything, it just feels a little, I don't know, just feels a little too, it's definitely not too good to be true. It feels like it's so shitty of a thing that could happen that it's going to, that Bob Baffert, he'll lose every race of the Breeders' Cup, and he'll get here with him and he'll win, and he'll give you some bullshit answer in the press conference about how they really, I thought all along this is my best chance at the Breeders' Cup, and I really love this sport. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
we got it, Bob. So can't wait for that. We'll be there. We can ask him a question maybe. So I know you'll be itching to do that. Right now, final thoughts. We obviously don't. I mean, we are still finalizing everything. Of course, the entries don't come out till Monday, with the post positions coming out after that, and odds and all that good stuff. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't gotten Wager Guide, go get it. Be ready for that to come out. Halterman, before we wrap this up, final thoughts on the Classic. Anything? Where are you leaning at? Is Essential Quality your pick as of now? As
of now, but the more and more I go, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go Nick's Go. I just feel like he just might be elite on that front end. But yeah, right now I have Essential Quality as a top pick, but that's not close to being finalized.
Yeah, I'm more on I'm like 70% Nick's Go right now. I'll put it that way. That's where I'm at. I just the plus side is I'll know if I want to cash a ticket very early in the race. I'll be either cussing at you. We like you say the Met Mile, you knew it pretty early that wasn't happening, and you knew it in the Whitney, of course. So
yeah.
This might be a good question for Magic, but Michael wants to know anything you've seen with Santa Anita and Del Mar surfaces differing, liking one or the other. Have you noticed ever anything that stands out to you?
I mean, I think the dirt plays very similar. I really do. I think the turf is a little bit different, but it's not going to make a huge difference in Breeders' Cup races. That's my biggest thing. Every year it's like, oh, they're at Keeneland. This isn't going to happen. Oh, we're wherever. We're at Santa Anita. We're at Del Mar. I don't know. I mean, maybe when we get there, we'll see a bias on Thursday when it starts that's strong enough to consider that. But, overall, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, what the track's like.
All right, those are your pre-entries. Of course, we'll be all over this the next. Be on the lookout. We have a ton of preview videos coming out on the website at racedudes.com. Of course, so go on our YouTube page. Go check out all these detailed analysis between you, myself, and Samich Magic. We'll all be doing previews for all these races. Again, we'll be live at the Breeders' Cup, so there'll be tons of live content coming your way. We'll be doing nightly kind of recaps of what we saw. I hope you get your sleep this week. We know how it goes. Like, we're pros at this now. The sleep doesn't happen at the Breeders' Cup. I think my record for the longest non-sleep of my life was at a Breeders' Cup once, or actually getting to the Breeders' Cup. You remember that?
Yep.
It was
Yep.
Yeah, it was Keeneland. You guys finally were like, dude, you look like shit. You need to go to sleep. It'd been like you'll work on the guide like all night, the one night before. Then we got a flight the next day real early, and I just stayed up. And then I stayed up all that day. And then the next day, it was like, okay, it literally would about killed me. So,
Yeah.
all right, stay tuned. Obviously, next week, tons of content. Those are your pre-entries for the Breeders' Cup.
I think we covered that enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, guys. You can only talk about it so much, and then it's like you're just ready. It's like you're just waiting. Yeah, Michael, you get it. You're not sleeping. You have a baby. I've been there, buddy, twice. It gets easier the second time around, I can tell you that, but the first one is no joke. You don't sleep. I mean, I was like the zombie walking in the middle of Walmart or Supercenter, wherever your store you go to, you know, like middle of the night, buying Red Bull and diapers and stuff. Like people thought I was on drugs, but it's you got to survive, man. It's the key to everything. You got to survive.
Yeah.
Halterman's like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, not a clue.
Dude, your Cardinals, man, they suck tonight. What's going on?
Yeah, they're not playing very well. They can't stop the receiverless Green Bay Packers right now.
Well, they can't score either.
No, they can't. They've been bottled up. They had a really good drive to start the second half, but we'll see. It's been rough.
I think we did pretty good. We always do pretty good at Boomer Sooner at the Breeders' Cup that year. I think we did really good. So,
yeah,
you know, I think they let me sleep for like 12 hours that next day or that night. And I felt like I woke up feeling like a champ. So it was good to go. Just, that was mid kid. You know, I had one kid, so I had some practice with the no sleep at that point. But that was, you know, going on 3 days of no sleep, that'll change a man. So. All right. So all the time we have to check us out at racingnews.com for our free picks and our premium selections and our products page. Click the Get Racing News Premium button on the menu at racingnews.com to learn more. Remember to go check out that all-inclusive wagering guide for the 38th Annual Breeders' Cup World Championships, November 5th and 6th. That's next Friday and Saturday at Del Mar. You'll get handicapping articles from us. Of course, 14 Breeders' Cup World Championship races will be included in this. You get full previews, you get race analysis, betting suggestions, multi-race plays, everything you want for the entire 2 days of racing, Friday and Saturday at Del Mar. You'll also get live bankroll plays. So we talked about it earlier. Literally we're betting every single ticket we put on the guide in the bankroll article. We will be betting those. So you can follow along with us. We'll give you exactly the layout of how we're going to do this. That's the whole point of sticking to a strategy. If you're betting tournaments, Samich has got you covered. Mike Samich will be doing a BCBC tournament strategy, kind of horses he's looking at, horses he's kind of looking at as far as making splashes, long shots, whatever. That will be included in the guide as well. Of course, top 4 consistent picks from all of us guys at Racing and Girls. One girl, Dr. Miranda, will be included this year as well. From all the guys at racingdudes.com. Go check out the Magic Mike show. I believe they did kind of a similar show where they just kind of talked Breeders' Cup. I don't say I believe. I actually watched. Me, Cohen, and Cooper were watching earlier today. Apparently I had nothing to do. So
I was going to say, wow.
I know. Well, I had one of the backgrounds there, and I just threw it on while they were going, and literally like took 20 minutes, and Magic was like, "Oh, look." Yeah. But no. So yeah, they just kind of did the open mic, as you will, of the Breeders' Cup and let people ask. And so if you want more thoughts, make sure you go check out the Magic Mike show. Again, we're all over the place. We're on @Racing_Dudes on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We'll be doing live content all over the board. Go check us out on YouTube, our YouTube page. Just search Racing Dudes on YouTube. All over, tons of content for the Breeders' Cup. We've got you covered. Go get the wagering guide. Go get the 14 trends guide. Stay tuned. Tons of content. Any final thoughts, Halterman, for you? Because the next time we touch on these guys, that sounds weird. The next time we come back to you guys, I won't be touching any guy. Okay. Any final thoughts before next week?
I'm just going to stay quiet and say thanks, everybody, for watching.
You're not touching guys at the Breeders' Cup?
No.
Well,
my wife's coming. Hey, you know what? Heather's coming. So, you guys, that say drinks on us and everything, you get to meet Heather as well. So she hasn't been to a Breeders' Cup since Zenyatta. How about that? No, that's not true. She went to Santa Anita a couple times. That's not true. Yeah.
No, because she cashed in on Take Charge Brandy.
Yeah. She was at that one. I forgot.
But that was a hot minute ago. That was long. That was a long time ago, man. So
long time ago.
Yeah. So she will be buying actually. So we
right.
will be buying.
Yes.
She will be buying. Oh, dude, Michael, the Tinder subscription it'll be solid. Don't worry about that. I'm interested in how the Del Mar situation is. So we'll see.
I've went to Del Mar with single guys before, and they did pretty well. There was a train basically coming through the Airbnb the whole time we were there. So,
well, I think I'm the only single guy right there. So you guys can all. Of course, Heather will be there, so I can't. I gotta be a little careful because she'll give me shit. So oh shit, man. All right, yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a good time, and so make sure you guys check us out. RacingDudes.com if you're gonna be there. If you're lucky enough to be there, hopefully you hit us up as well. We'll have some drinks. That's really what ties the whole Breeders' Cup around for us is drinks. So
well, here's the deal: we work extremely long hours that week, and by the time that first race goes off Friday, most of the work is done, and especially Saturday. So we definitely let loose a little bit on Friday and Saturday.
For sure. And literally it's like if we have Ubers or we have people, we're with, like, we're in the car, we're like working in the car, we're until we like literally step foot on the track, it's like, okay, take a breath. And there's been a few times this year where the site, the big days with sites crash for a bit. So we've been like panicked and stressed. And it's just like, so that by the time you see us holding a drink at whatever event, it's like, okay, we can rest easy. It's time to party. So
by about the Philly and Mare Turf on Saturday, I will be very relaxed.
Exactly.
Because it'll all kind of be over as far as our work goes.
Yep. All right. So make sure you guys keep an eye on everything we're putting out here for the Breeders' Cup Racing Dudes. We'll have it all, everything you want for the Breeders' Cup. And until next time, guys, I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Good luck this weekend.